How did you turn your life around? Stop caring about things I can't control and put all my energy into the things I can. It sounds hard, but there's actually a lot you can control, and that doesn't leave much room for the other shit. I got injured in a car accident, rear-ended. Lost my business, and my wife of 19 years eventually left for another man, leaving behind a 17-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. No job, no car, no money. 2 kids and $2,000 a month in rent coming due. 2 days after she left, I took my real estate license test. I passed. I had planned to surprise her, but had hid that I was studying in case I failed. Either way, it wasn't enough, and I ended up taking a job at Amazon. I worked a graveyard shift while my daughter stayed home with my son. I also did open houses on the weekend in hopes someone would walk in unrepresented. It still wasn't enough, so I signed up to drive Uber and Lyft. I had been able to pick up a decent vehicle from a family member for cheap, and I was in business. I switched my graveyard shift to a day shift and started driving through the nights. The money was all right, but I realized I could make a little more if I switched from Amazon to another large company in the area, so I did. I did that for about a year. Things were okay. I was making good money, and then Coldwell Banker fired me. I didn't think Coldwell fired anyone as long as they were paying their dues. I had never sold a house, so all it meant was I needed to switch to another broker. Turns out that was a blessing in disguise. A friend called on my way to sign with Keller Williams and convinced me to sign with a temp agency. I was skeptical, but what did I have to lose? The first and second day I was placed with Toll Brothers. It was all right, and I could see myself doing that. On the third day I was sent to a local developer, and my world was changed. The broker of record and the local developer took me under their wing. After a few months, they hired me away from my temp broker, gave me a salary and commissions, and provided me with an opportunity to change my kids' lives forever. I was able to go from working 4 jobs to just one, and I have learned more about myself than I could have ever imagined possible. It's been 3.5 long years, but I wouldn't change a thing if I could. When I was a teenager, I was homeless. A lot of places wouldn't hire me because I had no experience or interview clothes. I went to the Board of Education and begged the HR lady to give me a chance at any job. I told her I'd scrub the school with a toothbrush if they paid me. They made me a general sub for clerical. I took a call for one of the bad neighborhood schools that some others turned down. Walked across town to get there every day. I had to start walking at 4:30 a.m. to be on time. I wore dress clothes from a church mission that were way too big, but I did my best. After 4 months, they gave me a long-term position, then a permanent one with benefits. I saved up enough for an apartment. Finding a landlord okay with renting to an 18-year-old homeless girl was hard, and started college. I haven't been homeless a day since in the last 15 years. I even have a house now. I decided to stop comparing myself to my brother and try to focus on the improvable. Decided it's okay to put yourself first no matter what. I don't mean that go ahead and cheat and lie for your benefits. For example, I was seeing this toxic person for some time, and I was the one always compromising and making efforts. When things finally ended, I chose to cut off all contact from that person while they wanted to remain in touch for support or validation. I felt bad and selfish while doing it, but starting to feel better about myself now that that person is out of my life. You need to be selfish if the other person is being selfish too. Realize there was more to life than partying and waking up hungover all the time. Edit: I still think it's good to go out and have fun, but just make sure to do it in moderation. It's easy to get caught up in that life and forget what's truly important, like friends and family and taking care of yourself. Moving out of my parents' house. I was living with my parents, which is a very common thing in India, until end of my med school. I've been in my comfort zone all my life and had everything I need. That led to depression, and all I wanted is to live by myself and to get out of my bubble. Now, I can't say I figured it all, but I definitely feel better. I asked for help. I heavily reduced sugar when I was 21 and started resistance training. 2 years later, and I am feeling the best I have ever felt, have so much energy and self-confidence because I actually like the way I look now. Clothes fit so much better as well. Realizing I don't have to act like someone I'm not, just to be liked by everyone. Changed my life choices, and it made me a much happier man. I wish I've done it sooner and not on my late 20s. So much wasted time. I grew up in South Florida during the beginning of the opioid craziness. From 2006 to 2011, things got pretty bad. In 2011, I sold my last possession, my car, for $800, packed 2 suitcases, and bought a bus ticket to Denver. Never been to Denver, didn't know anyone there, but weed was starting to be legal and I didn't want to miss out. I detoxed on the bus going from Florida to Colorado. Do not recommend. I got lucky and ended up sitting next to a guy that was a grower and needed help in his garden. I didn't know it at the time, but on the Greyhound he said I had an 8-hour job interview. Got to Denver and he really helped me get established. Within 2 months I was sleeping on his couch and learning how to grow. Haven't touched a painkiller since I got on that bus almost 9.5 years ago, and now I'm married, homeowner, decent car, and working my dream job in the cannabis industry. It's not for everyone, but I literally went from homeless sticking needles in my arm to living a life better than I could have ever imagined. After being laid off from my last factory job, I suddenly found myself on the streets of Toronto in the early 1990s with a grade 9 education, no money, no friends, no job references, and not really any family. So what did I do? Found an unbelievably dirty, crappy crawlspace basement apartment. Applied for welfare. Stopped drinking and smoking and anything else unhealthy. Got a gym membership and went 4 hours a day. Jogged 5 miles every morning, weather permitting. Enrolled in an adult high school. Ignored everyone and everything that would be a distraction. Got my high school diploma with honors in 2 years. Applied for university. Got in. Moved to a different city and spent 4 years getting my BA Hon in philosophy because I like to think and solve problems. Applied to a graduate program and spent the next 10 years getting my MA and my PhD. Then spent the next several years as a professor making good money and having lots of fun. Won't say how things are going now because I got cursed with poor health, etc., and so I'm no longer working. I'll just say that I am happy now and know that I would have ended up either dead or in jail if I hadn't done what I did all those years ago. Sooner or later, everyone has got to take their life seriously. Quite recently, I deleted Facebook, deleted Instagram and Snapchat. I now only use Twitter and Reddit. I stopped making an effort to those who don't for me. I cut out the toxic people in my life and I surrounded myself with positivity and care. Realized my quest to find love wouldn't fix anything wrong with me. Stopped manipulating and using men to try to fill the void in my soul. Treated men like people instead of tools. Actually fell in love and am married to the most wonderful person I've ever met. Went from just partying hard on the weekends to partying hard every day to losing my job from partying hard. Drug test failed for coke. From there it turned to meth. Really low point. One day, I had an epiphany and realized that it wasn't what I wanted and that I've seen people go down similar paths, actively seeked help, changed friend groups, stayed in, got clean, and am now doing okay. Can't say I'm doing great, but my future is looking better every day, even if it's only slightly. The addiction is still affecting me, even after all this time. It's caused insomnia and depression, along with anxiety. Things I didn't have before doing coke/meth. I wasn't happy. Lost weight, shaved head, got tattoos, travel more, complain less. Everything I do is for myself. I have a long way to go. If it's me trying to impress someone, it never sticks. You have to want to do it yourself. Short answer, support network. Without my dad, I'd be dead. Now my fiancée is helping me learn how to be happy. Long answer, left an abusive home, went to university at 18, got lost in a black hole of depression, drugs, and debt for 3 years, dropped out. Literally can't even remember half of it. Broke, desperate, I called up my estranged dad and he helped me get back on my feet, gave me a loan, and kept me alive while I battled daily suicidal ideation and worked part-time. Eventually graduated. Now I'm 30 and my fiance is supporting me while I go through therapy. I even have some money in savings and we're talking about buying a home. Had to move around a lot as a child, went to 4 different primary schools, UK, due to my dad's job. Was always a hardworking and competitive student. Landed into my final primary school in year 5, around 9 to 10 years old, and being the new kid alongside wanting to do well in studies led to me getting bullied. It was awful. People had always been so supportive of my good grades and ability in the past. Why were these people different? I tried to keep to myself, but they always knew how to find you, and people who I thought were my friends were actually instigating things to harm me. Went to high school with a couple of guys who I thought were my friends, decided to reinvent myself and became a little shit in a hope that I wouldn't get bullied anymore. Stopped caring about grades and paying attention in class. Eventually led to me bunking off school in the middle of the school day to go and play games in the town center. Got caught by the police on the way in and they rang my mom, who didn't believe them, as had always been so good before, and went apeshit at me. She made me move school again, and then I walked this line of doing the minimum I needed to pass to go to college and goofing off to impress my friends and not get bullied, which did work. Eventually, I went to uni and graduated from graphic design in 2009. During the recession, managed to do a few odds and ends here and there, and eventually landed a full-time design job in 2011, which paid peanuts because they could. In-house job, not much scope for promotion, very small team. Had dreams of working for a gaming developer like Valve or Rockstar, but never did anything in my free time to pursue this. Realized at about age 24 to 25 that it wasn't right for me to lack any passion about my work. I had my hobbies which I enjoyed, but I felt very unfulfilled day to day. Decided to go back to the drawing board and figure out what I wanted to do, work with people, something people-facing, something more science-based, something more mentally stimulating. Eventually clicked into medicine, always been interested watching TV shows and docu-series on it. I knew I was smart enough to do medicine, but was worried my past, no A-levels, a 2.2 degree, would hold me back, which it did-ish. Found out there was a couple of places I could apply. A hard entrance exam, for someone from a non-science background, was an obstacle, the GAMSAT, and I applied the first time without success whilst staying at my design job. At the same time, I had started volunteering at my local hospital and picked up a part-time job as a support worker for an adult with learning disabilities. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful, but I knew this was something I wanted to do. I had become passionate about wanting to get in. So I left my design job to become a full-time healthcare assistant at my local hospital. It was a baptism of fire and I nearly walked away early on, but I'm glad I stuck it out as I learned an incredible amount from just doing that job. We do a lot more than wash patients and wipe bums. My second application, whilst better on the entrance exam, also fell short. Unfortunately, my 2.2 degree was really limiting my options and making it more difficult to get into med school. I decided to do a master's degree to open up some extra options and hopefully make it easier. So I did a full-time master's degree, alongside working practically full-time as a HCA, alongside my part-time support worker job. My work were really supportive and gave me fixed hours so I could do uni stuff Monday through Thursday and work Friday through Sunday, 14.5-hour shifts, do not miss them. Fortunately, the master's was pretty straightforward and varied enough to keep me interested, and I managed to write my dissertation on one of my other passions, which is esports. Once I finished my master's, I applied again. I managed to just scrape in on the entrance exam score for the GAMSAT and did all right at the UCAT and managed to land 4 out of 4 interviews. I was over the moon and felt pretty confident at least one of the units would give me an offer. Eventually, after 1 rejection and 3 waiting list places, and eventually another rejection, I received an offer to study medicine. 3 to 4 years of hard work and experience had paid off and I was on my way to becoming a doctor. I cried with happiness in the toilets at work when I received my offer. I'm in my final year of med school now. I've managed to pass all my exams first time, and whilst I'm not going to graduate with honors or anything like that, I'm pleased that I've managed to find something I'm passionate about and that I am fulfilling my academic potential. I was lucky to have supportive friends and family and to not be tied down to a mortgage or kids, as I would have found it even more difficult. Sorry for the long post. Forced myself to become a couch surfing loser in order to reset myself. I was in my 20s with no job and no school, just bumming at my mom's place and drinking away any cash I could get my hands on while playing video games 24/7. Mom loves me unconditionally, which is good, but it basically enabled me because she would never throw me out. I realized I was an effing loser and kicked myself out to become homeless, but not really, and bummed at my buddies' places until I could get a job and a place to live. Now I not only have a well-paying job and a nice enough place, but a wife I love and 2 cats, and I haven't hit 30 yet. I just needed to feel the hunger to realize I wanted more. Eating healthier, sleeping well, and exercising regularly. The benefits of those 3 are so noticeable. You feel more energized and motivated. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Also check out our other videos and have an amazing day.